For 300 years, the galaxy had believed humanity was dangerous. But dangerous was not the same as terrifying. The Galactic Alliance had fought humans twice. Both times, humanity had lost. That was why, when the Alliance finally faced an enemy that was destroying entire worlds, nobody asked Earth for help. They already knew what humans could do. Or, at least, they thought they did. The enemy was called the Bear. No one knew where the Bear had come from. They did not negotiate. They did not demand territory. They did not conquer planets and install governments. They simply arrived. Black ships would appear beyond the system. 3 hours later, every communication channel would go silent. 6 hours after that, the planet would be burning, and by sunrise, there would be nothing left. The Alliance had lost 17 worlds in 11 months, then 43, then 90. The Veer moved through space like a disease. Their ships were faster than Alliance cruisers. Their armor was stronger than Alliance weapons. Their soldiers did not retreat, and their commanders had never lost a major battle. The Alliance tried everything: massive fleets, orbital bombardments, planetary shields, artificial moons, even a forbidden gravitational weapon that had once been powerful enough to tear a small moon apart. Nothing worked. The Veer simply adapted. Every defeat taught them something. Every victory made them stronger. Eventually, the Alliance Council called an emergency meeting. Every surviving military leader attended. Hundreds of alien representatives filled the chamber. Some had wings. Some had 4 arms. Some existed inside artificial bodies. Some had been alive for thousands of years. And sitting quietly among them was a human woman. Her name was Commander Elena Cross. She wore no medals, no ceremonial armor, no glowing weapons, just a dark military uniform. The Alliance speaker looked directly at her. Commander Cross. Yes, you requested permission to deploy human forces. Yes. A few representatives laughed. Not loudly, politely. The kind of laughter reserved for someone who had said something embarrassing. The speaker continued. You understand that the Veer destroyed the 7 Alliance fleet yesterday? Yes. 300 warships. Yes. And you are asking us to send... He looked at the report. 120 humans? Elena Cross didn't blink. 128. More laughter. The speaker leaned forward. Commander, your people have already suffered losses against the Veer. We know. Then why would you send more? Elena looked around the chamber, at the alien generals, at the politicians, at the frightened representatives. Then she said something that made the room completely silent. We aren't sending more soldiers. She placed a small black device on the table. We're sending the ones we kept hidden. The room went quiet. The speaker stared at the device. What does that mean? Elena didn't answer immediately. Instead, she activated a projector. A list appeared. Unit 01, Nightfall. Unit 02, Ghost. Unit 03, Black Veil. Unit 04, Reaper. There were 12 units. The Alliance generals studied them. None recognized the names. One alien commander finally asked, where have these units fought? Elena looked at him. Everywhere. Against whom? Anyone who needed us. And how many soldiers do they contain? Elena's answer was quiet. Not enough. The room laughed again. This time Elena smiled, just slightly, because they still didn't understand. These weren't conventional soldiers. They weren't designed to win battles. They were designed to make battles unnecessary. They didn't attack armies. They attacked the things that made armies function. Commanders, communications, supply chains, sensors, navigation, morale. And sometimes they attacked the enemy's understanding of reality itself. The Alliance speaker looked at the screen. Why have we never heard of these units? Elena leaned back. Because if you've heard about them... She paused. They failed. Nobody laughed this time. 3 hours later, humanity received authorization. The Alliance gave them one target. A Veer fortress located inside the dead zone of the Karen system. The fortress had survived 7 orbital bombardments for nuclear strikes and 1 direct assault by 12,000 Alliance troops. The assault had lasted 19 minutes. Only 11 soldiers came back. The fortress was considered impossible to penetrate. So naturally, humanity sent 8 people. 8! Their leader was Captain Marcus Vale, 39 years old. No cybernetic implants. No genetic enhancements. No powered exoskeleton. The Vale would have considered him physically weak. His team was even smaller. 7 soldiers. Maya Torres, Daniel Kane, Iris Chun, Jonah Reed, Samir Holt, Nikolai Voss, and the youngest member, a 26-year-old woman named Lena Ward. They stood inside a transport ship as it approached Karen. No one spoke. The cabin lights were red. Outside the viewport, the planet grew larger. Black clouds covered the surface. Lightning flashed beneath them. The Vare fortress appeared through the storm. It was enormous, a structure of black metal rising from the planet like a mountain. Hundreds of defense towers surrounded it. Thousands of Vare soldiers guarded the perimeter. The Alliance officer flying the transport looked back at the team. I still don't understand the mission. Marcus Vale checked his rifle. You don't need to. We're dropping you 12 kilometers from the fortress. Yes. There are no extraction beacons. Correct. You'll have no air support. Correct. You'll have no backup. Marcus looked up. You're wrong. The pilot frowned. What backup do you have? Marcus pointed toward the sky. The storm. The pilot stared at him. Then he understood. The transport disappeared into the clouds. 8 humans jumped. No lights. No signals. No engines. Just 8 black shapes falling through a violent alien storm. The Vare sensors detected nothing. They landed 12 kilometers from the fortress and disappeared. For the next 11 hours, nothing happened. The Alliance Command Center watched the mission tracker. 8 human signals. Then 7. Then 6. Then nothing. The Alliance assumed the team had been killed. Commander Elena Cross did not. She simply looked at the clock. Phase 2. An Alliance officer stared at her. What? Cross turned toward the tactical display. Tell the fleet to stand by. For what? She looked at the Vare fortress. For the moment they realized they're already dead. Inside the fortress, something moved. A Vare soldier stopped. It had heard something. A sound, barely audible. A single metallic click. The soldier turned. Nothing. It activated its thermal vision. Nothing. Motion sensors. Nothing. Chemical sensors. Nothing. It called another soldier. The second Vare arrived. Then a third. They searched the corridor. Nothing. But somewhere above them, behind a ventilation panel, 8 human soldiers were watching. Marcus Vale raised one finger. Everyone froze. Below them, the Vare moved away. Maya whispered through their encrypted channel. Clear. Marcus checked the time. Begin. The first human moved. Then the second. Then the third. No shots. No explosions. No alarms. They moved deeper into the fortress. Not toward the weapons. Not toward the command center. Not toward the reactor. They were looking for something much more important. A door. A very specific door. Because 3 months earlier, humanity had captured a single Vare officer. And before he died, he had said one sentence. We do not fear your armies. Then he had smiled. We fear what lives beneath our commanders. Humanity had spent 3 months trying to understand what that meant. Now, they were about to find out. Marcus reached the door. He placed his hand against it. The metal vibrated. Something was moving on the other side. Slowly. Massively. Alive. Maya looked at him. Captain. Marcus raised his weapon. The door opened by itself. And from the darkness beyond it, something whispered in a language no human had ever heard. Then every light inside the Vare fortress went out, across the entire Karen system. Every Vare communication channel suddenly became silent. The Alliance Command Center watched the tactical map. One by one, the Vare ships began turning toward their own fortress. Commander Elena Cross smiled. Now, she whispered, let's show them what the special forces were created for. The moment the lights went out, the Vare fortress changed. For 6 seconds, nothing happened. Then the screams began. Not human screams. Their screams. Thousands of soldiers suddenly started shouting across emergency channels. Doors locked. Weapons activated. Defense systems came online. But they weren't responding to an attack from outside. They were responding to something inside. Marcus Vale stood motionless in the darkness. His night vision activated. The corridor was empty. Maya whispered through the comms. "Captain, what did we just trigger?" Marcus stared at the open doorway. "I don't know." A pause. Then, "But they do." Somewhere beneath them, something enormous moved. The entire floor shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lena almost lost her balance. "That's not machinery." "No," Marcus said. "It isn't." Another vibration. Closer this time. The Vare soldiers outside began running. Not toward the humans. Away from them. Maya watched through the ventilation opening. "Captain." "What?" "They're retreating." Marcus looked at the corridor. "How many?" "Everyone." That was impossible. The Vare didn't retreat. They had never retreated from an Alliance attack. But now hundreds of them were abandoning their positions. Some were dropping their weapons. Others were trying to open sealed doors. One soldier slammed against a blast door again and again. "Open!" The others screamed at him. "Don't let it out." Marcus froze. He looked at Maya. What did he say? Maya replayed the audio. "Don't let it out." Marcus looked toward the doorway. "What is underneath us?" Nobody answered. Then Lena spoke. "Maybe we should leave." Marcus shook his head. "No." "Why?" "Because we came here to find out what they're hiding." Another violent tremor shook the fortress. This time, the floor cracked. A black line appeared across the metal. Then another. The fortress was a trap, and humanity had walked directly into it. The Vare had known humans were coming. They had allowed the Alliance to find the fortress. They had allowed the human team to enter, because they wanted to feed the thing beneath the fortress. On the tactical display, dozens of sealed chambers began opening at a deep mechanical pulse. Maya checked her scanner. "Captain." "What?" "I'm detecting thousands of life signs." Marcus looked at her. "There." She shook her head. "No." The creature smiled again. "Your war has brought me something I have not tasted in a very long time." Marcus suddenly realized what was happening. The fortress wasn't the target. Then another, something underneath, was pushing upward. Marcus raised his rifle. Everyone ready. The crack widened. A hand came through, but it wasn't a Vare hand. It had too many fingers, too many joints, and its surface looked almost transparent. The fingers gripped the floor. Pulled. The metal bent upward. Lena stepped backward. "What the hell is that?" Marcus didn't answer. The creature pulled itself halfway through the opening. Its body was enormous, thin, almost skeletal. Its head was covered in black armor. But the worst part was its eyes. There were dozens of them, all opening at once. Every single. I turned toward the humans. The creature stopped. It stared. Marcus stared back. For several seconds, neither moved. Then something completely unexpected happened. The creature whispered, not in the Vare language, not in any language the humans recognized, but Marcus understood it anyway. "You came back." His blood went cold. Maya heard it too. "Captain." "I heard it." "How?" "I don't know." The creature slowly stood. It was almost 4 meters tall. Its arms hung nearly to the floor. Black tendrils moved beneath its skin. The fortress shook around it. And suddenly Marcus understood the Vare's fear. The Vare hadn't built the fortress to keep humans out. They had built it to keep this thing in. Marcus lowered his rifle slightly. "What are you?" The creature tilted its head. Then it smiled. A horrible movement across a face that should not have been capable of smiling. "I am what your enemy became afraid of." Marcus looked at the others. Maya whispered, "Captain." That's not an answer. The creature stepped forward. The entire floor groaned beneath its weight. "I was here before the Vare." Another step. I watched them arrive. Another. I watched them build their empire. The creature's eyes narrowed. And then I watched him discover fear. Marcus raised his rifle again. You're the reason they're killing worlds? The creature laughed. No. It leaned closer. They are killing worlds because they are running from me. Silence. Marcus understood. The Vair weren't expanding. They were fleeing. Every planet they destroyed, every civilization they erased, every system they occupied was another place they could hide, and humanity had accidentally followed them to the source. Marcus spoke quietly. Why didn't you kill them? The creature looked almost confused. Because they're useful. For what? The creature pointed toward the floor. Food. Nobody moved. Then the fortress alarms changed. A new sound. Then hundreds. Then thousands. Creatures emerged. Different shapes. Different sizes. All moving toward the same location. Toward the humans. Lena whispered, "We need extraction." Marcus looked at the swarm approaching through the darkness. Then he smiled. Extraction isn't coming. Maya stared at him. What? Marcus touched his helmet. Because we were never the attack. He opened a secure channel. One that had been silent for 11 hours. Nightfall to command. Static. Then a voice answered. Commander Elena Cross. Go ahead. Marcus looked at the approaching creatures. The doors open. There was a long silence. Then Cross replied. Good. Marcus frowned. Good. Her voice remained calm. Captain, you're standing inside the enemy's deepest fortress. Yes. You confirmed the creature? Yes. Then we finally know what the Vair were running from. Marcus looked at the monster. The creature was staring directly at him. Cross continued. Now we can begin. Marcus suddenly understood. Humanity hadn't sent 8 soldiers to destroy the fortress. They had sent 8 soldiers to find the monster. And somewhere far above Karen, something much larger was moving into position. Marcus looked toward the ceiling. What did you bring? Cross answered with 4 words. Everything we had. Then the sky opened. Thousands of human warships emerged from hyperspace. The Vair fortress looked up. The creature looked up. And for the first time in its existence, the ancient thing beneath the fortress felt something it had almost forgotten. Fear. Because humanity had not come to fight the monster. Humanity had come to hunt it. The first human warship fired. Not at the fortress. Not at the Vair fleet. It fired directly into empty space. A single pulse of blue energy crossed the darkness and vanished. The Vair commanders watched in confusion. Then another ship fired. And another. Within seconds, hundreds of human warships were firing into completely different directions. The Vair fleet began laughing. They thought humanity had made a mistake. They were wrong. Every shot had a purpose. Every trajectory had been calculated. Every explosion was creating a new blind spot. Commander Elena Cross watched the tactical display from the bridge of the human flagship. Status: Vair fleet is repositioning. Exactly as predicted. Defensive grid? Still active. Cross nodded. Begin phase 2. The officer beside her hesitated. Already? Cross looked at him. We've been in phase 2 for 11 hours. On the planet below, Marcus Vale finally understood what was happening. The human fleet wasn't trying to destroy the Vair. It was hurting them. Every attack pushed them toward a specific region of space. Every false retreat created another corridor. Every destroyed sensor forced the Vair to rely on another. And every piece of information they received was exactly what humanity wanted them to receive. The Vair had spent centuries perfecting warfare. They believed information was power. Humans had discovered something worse. False information was power too. Marcus looked at the ancient creature. It was still watching him. You knew they were coming. The creature nodded. They always come. No. Marcus stepped closer. This time they came for you. The creature's smile disappeared. Above them, the fortress shook. Then every screen inside the facility activated simultaneously. A human symbol appeared. A simple white circle. The creature stared at it. For the first time, it looked afraid. Marcus noticed. What is that? The creature whispered. Your mark. Marcus frowned. What? That symbol. The creature stepped backward. I saw it before. Where? Long before your species reached this galaxy, Marcus's expression changed. The creature continued. You are not the first humans. Silence. Maya looked at Marcus. Captain. He raised a hand. Let it talk. The creature's voice became quieter. Your kind has been here before. Marcus stared at it. That's impossible. You think your history is complete? The creature laughed softly. You have barely begun. It pointed toward the ceiling. Your ancestors came here. Why? They were hunting. Marcus felt a chill move through him. Hunting what? The creature looked directly into his eyes. Us. The lights suddenly went red. An alarm sounded. Maya checked her scanner. Movement. How many? She looked at the numbers. Her face changed. Thousands. The fortress walls began opening. Veer soldiers poured into the chamber. But they weren't attacking humans. They were running. Behind them came something much worse. Black creatures with long limbs and hollow faces. The same things that had been imprisoned beneath the fortress. Marcus raised his weapon. Fall back. The team moved. The creatures charged. Gunfire filled the chamber. One creature crossed 30 meters in less than a second. Marcus fired directly into its chest. It barely slowed. Lena fired. Maya fired. 8 rifles screamed together. The creature finally collapsed. But another 10 replaced it. Marcus looked at the exit. Move. The team sprinted through the corridor. Behind them, the creatures followed. Then something massive crashed through the ceiling. A Veer war machine. The machine landed between the humans and the creatures. Its armor unfolded. Weapons activated. Marcus expected it to attack them. Instead, the machine turned around and fired into the monsters. The creatures screamed. Maya stared. The Veer are helping us? Marcus shook his head. No. He looked toward the fortress exit. They're terrified. Outside, the battle had become chaos. Veer ships were firing at the human fleet. Human ships were disappearing, then reappearing somewhere else. Some Veer ships chased targets that weren't there. Others received orders from commanders who had already been killed. The Veer communication network was collapsing, not because humanity had destroyed it, because humanity had infected it. One human team had entered a Veer relay station 3 days earlier. Another had entered a second. A third had placed a tiny device inside a commander's private communications chamber. None of those teams had fired a shot. They had simply left. And now, the network was lying. A Veer commander ordered his fleet to move left. His ships received the order as right. Another ordered retreat. Half his fleet received an order to advance. A third commander demanded confirmation. The confirmation came from a source that didn't exist. The entire Veer fleet began fighting a war against information, and humanity watched. Captain Marcus reached the surface. Rain hammered against his armor. He looked up. Thousands of Veer ships filled the sky. Then the largest human warship moved between them. Its hull opened. Something enormous emerged. Maya stared. What is that? Marcus didn't answer. It wasn't a bomb. It wasn't a missile. It wasn't even a weapon. It was a signal tower. The tower activated. Every Veer ship stopped. Every communication channel went silent. Then one voice appeared on every frequency. Elena Cross, you have spent centuries teaching the galaxy to fear you. The Veer commanders listened. You believed strength meant having the biggest fleet. The signal grew stronger. You believed victory meant destroying your enemy. A pause. You were wrong. On the planet below, the ancient creature suddenly screamed, not from pain, from recognition. Cross continued. Victory is making your enemy realize. The human fleet shifted formation, that nowhere is safe. The Veer ships began retreating. For the first time in their history, they ran. But Cross had expected that. Let them go. The human officers looked at her. Commander, don't fire. Why? Cross stared at the fleeing fleet. Because they're going to lead us to the real target. On Karen, Marcus looked back at the ancient creature. It was staring into the sky. You knew this would happen, Marcus said. The creature slowly turned toward him. No, its dozens of eyes narrowed. I knew you would happen. Marcus raised his rifle. What does that mean? The creature smiled. Then the ground beneath them split open. A darkness deeper than the fortress itself appeared below, and from that darkness came thousands of voices, all speaking at once, all saying the same words. The hunters have returned. Marcus stared into the abyss. Then his helmet received a transmission from a lane across. Only 3 words. Go deeper, Marcus. He looked at his team, then at the darkness, and stepped forward, because humanity had come to Karen believing it was hunting a monster. Now they were beginning to understand the truth. The monster was only the door, Ed older than the planet itself. Maya slowly approached the edge. Captain! The darkness beneath the fortress was not a cave. It was a city. Marcus stopped at the edge of the opening. His helmet light disappeared into the blackness below. There were structures down there, thousands of them, towers, bridges, massive chambers carved into something that look. I see it. No, look closer. Marcus zoomed his visor. The structures weren't alien. At least, not entirely. Some of them carried the same geometric patterns found on ancient human spacecraft. The same 3 lines, the same circular symbol, the same mark that had appeared on the fortress screens. Marcus stared. That can't be ours. The ancient creature stood behind them. It is... Marcus turned. You said humans were here before. Yes. How long ago? The creature looked into the darkness. Before your species learned to record history. Lena swallowed. Then what happened to them? The creature didn't answer. Marcus stepped closer. What happened? Finally, the creature spoke. They became what you are becoming. Marcus raised his weapon. What does that mean? The creature's eyes moved toward the symbols below. They learned how to hunt. A deep vibration rolled through the chamber. Something far beneath them had awakened. The human soldiers exchanged looks. Then Marcus heard a sound. A heartbeat. Slow. Massive. Boom. The ground moved. Boom. Dust fell from the ceiling. Boom. Every light inside the ancient city activated, one after another. A path illuminated through the darkness. And at the end of that path stood a structure shaped like a human skull. Maya whispered, "What is that?" The creature answered, "The first weapon." Marcus stared at it. Human weapon? No. The creature looked at him. Humanity's first mistake. Suddenly every soldier's helmet received the same transmission. Not from Elena Cross. Not from the fleet. From somewhere beneath them. A human voice. Old. Distorted. Almost dead. If you can hear this. Static. Then you came too late. Marcus froze. The voice continued. Do not trust Vair. A pause. Do not trust the thing beside you. Everyone turned toward the creature. It smiled. Marcus raised his rifle. The ancient being didn't move. The recording continued. And whatever you do, the voice became barely audible. Do not wake the hunters. The transmission ended. Silence. Then the creature laughed. Marcus kept his rifle aimed at it. You knew about the message. Yes. You knew it was here. Yes. Why didn't you tell us? The creature's expression changed. For the first time, there was no amusement in its face. Because I was hoping you would leave. Marcus stared. You wanted us to leave? Yes. Why? The creature looked at the ancient city. Because your kind always goes deeper. A tremor shook the ground. Then another. Maya checked her scanner. Captain, something is moving beneath us. How big? She looked at the numbers. Her voice dropped. I don't know. The scanner couldn't calculate it. Then the city lights went dark again, one by one, until only a single light remained. At the center of the ancient structure, a door opened, and behind it were thousands of human helmets. Old helmets, ancient helmets, each one covered in dust, each one carrying the same human symbol. Marcus slowly walked forward. Lena whispered, "These aren't artifacts." Marcus looked closer. No, he saw the bodies, human bodies, still wearing armor. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They had been standing there for centuries, frozen, preserved, waiting. Maya's voice shook. "Captain." Marcus didn't answer, because one of the bodies moved. Its head lifted, its helmet activated. Two pale lights appeared behind the visor. Then another soldier moved. Then another. Then hundreds. The ancient human army began waking. The creature stepped backward. Marcus finally understood why it had been afraid. It wasn't the humans that were hunting the monster. The monster had been protecting the galaxy from the humans beneath the planet. Elena Cross suddenly broke through the communication channel. "Marcus." He looked up. "Commander." Her voice was different. No calmness, no confidence, only urgency. "Get out of there." Marcus looked at the ancient soldiers. "Why?" Cross hesitated. Then she said, "Because we just discovered what the Vare were running from." Marcus looked toward the darkness. "And?" Cross took a breath. "The Vare weren't escaping the monster." A pause. "They were escaping us." Marcus slowly lowered his rifle. The ancient soldiers were now standing. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Their weapons activated. Their armor came alive. And every single one turned toward Marcus. Not toward the Vare. Not toward the monster. Toward him. Then the oldest soldier stepped forward. His helmet opened. An ancient human face appeared beneath it. He looked exactly like Marcus. Same eyes. Same jaw. Same expression. And he whispered, "How long did you sleep?" Marcus couldn't move, because he suddenly realized something terrifying. The humans on Earth believed they had invented warfare. They hadn't. They had only rediscovered it. And whatever had been buried beneath Karen had been waiting for humanity to remember. Above them, the human fleet continued fighting, but below the planet, the real war had just begun. Marcus couldn't move. The ancient soldier stood only a few meters away. Same face, same eyes, same expression, but the voice wasn't old. It was calm, almost familiar. Marcus finally spoke. "Who are you?" The soldier looked at him, then at the rifle in Marcus's hands, then at the human soldiers behind him. "We are what your species was before it learned to fear itself." Maya stepped forward. "That doesn't make sense." The ancient soldier turned toward her. "It will." Suddenly the entire chamber shook. A deafening roar came from above. The human fleet had opened fire. Thousands of weapons struck the Vare defenses simultaneously. The planet's surface lit up. But beneath the fortress, something else was happening. The ancient soldiers began moving, not toward the humans, toward the central structure. Marcus followed them. "Where are they going?" The ancient creature answered. "To wake the last one." Marcus stopped. "The last what?" The creature looked at him. "The reason we were buried." A massive door opened at the end of the underground city. Beyond it was a chamber so enormous that Marcus couldn't see the opposite wall. At its center floated a sphere. Black, perfectly smooth, surrounded by thousands of cables and metallic structures. It looked almost like a miniature star, except there was no light coming from it, only darkness. The ancient soldiers formed a circle around it. Then they all lowered their weapons. Marcus stared. "What is that?" The ancient soldier answered, "Your inheritance." Marcus shook his head. "We don't want it." The ancient soldier looked at him. "You already have it." The sphere suddenly pulsed. Every human soldier felt something inside their helmets. A voice, not through the communication system, inside their minds. "Run." Maya dropped to one knee. Lena grabbed her helmet. "What is happening?" Marcus heard another voice. A woman's voice. Elena Cross. But she wasn't speaking through the radio. She was speaking inside his head. "Marcus." He closed his eyes. "Commander?" Her voice sounded terrified. "Destroy the sphere." Marcus opened his eyes. "How?" "I don't know." "Then why are you telling me?" A pause. "Because the Vare just sent us their final transmission." Marcus looked up. "What did they say?" Cross answered. "They said..." Her voice broke. "They were never trying to destroy humanity." Marcus stared at the sphere. "What?" "They were trying to keep you from finding this." The transmission ended. Marcus looked at the ancient creature. You knew. The creature didn't deny it. Yes. You knew what the Veer were doing. Yes. And you let us come here. The creature looked almost sad. I tried to stop you. Marcus tightened his grip. You brought us here. No. The creature looked toward the sphere. You brought yourselves. The sphere pulsed again. This time, the entire planet reacted. Across Karen, mountains cracked. Oceans rose. The sky turned black. Every Veer ship stopped firing. Every human ship stopped moving. For exactly 3 seconds. The entire battle froze. Then every Veer soldier received the same message. A single sentence. The hunters have returned. The Veer fleet panicked. Their ships turned around. They weren't attacking humans anymore. They were fleeing the system. Commander Cross watched them disappear from the tactical display. Don't pursue. An officer looked at her. Commander? Let them run. Why? Cross stared at the planet. Because they finally understand. Below them, Marcus approached the sphere. The ancient soldiers watched him. One of them spoke. You should not touch it. Marcus stopped. Why? Because it remembers. Remembers what? The soldier looked directly at him. Every war. Marcus slowly reached toward the sphere. Maya grabbed his arm. Captain, don't. Marcus looked at her. If we leave this here, what happens? She checked her scanner. I don't know. The ancient soldier answered. It wakes. Marcus looked at the sphere. And if I destroy it? The soldier's expression changed. It dies. Marcus nodded. Then that's what we're doing. The ancient soldier stepped forward. No. Marcus raised his weapon. Get out of my way. The soldier didn't move. You don't understand. Then explain. The ancient soldier pointed toward the sphere. That isn't a weapon. Marcus frowned. What is it? A prison. Silence. The sphere pulsed. And somewhere deep beneath the planet, something screamed, not through the speakers, through the ground, through the walls, through their bones. Marcus looked at the ancient soldier. What did you imprison? The soldier whispered. Everything we became. The chamber doors slammed shut. The creature behind them suddenly began screaming. Its body twisted. Black veins spread across its skin. Marcus aimed his rifle. What is happening to it? The ancient soldier answered. It is remembering. The creature fell to the ground. Its body began changing. Its armor cracked. Its eyes multiplied. Its limbs stretched. The monster that had terrified the Veer for centuries was transforming into something far worse. Marcus took a step backward. The ancient soldier spoke again. You called us monsters. The creature rose. You were wrong. Its voice echoed through the chamber. We were soldiers. The creature looked at Marcus. And we lost. Then the sphere opened, not physically. Reality itself seemed to split around it. A black wave exploded outward. Every light disappeared. Every human ship above Karen lost power. Every Veer ship went blind. And for several seconds, there was nothing. No sound. No movement. No light. Then Marcus heard breathing. Slow. Heavy. Right behind him. He turned. The ancient human soldiers were gone. The creature was gone. The sphere was gone. Only one thing remained. A doorway. And beyond it, Earth. Marcus stared. Impossible. Earth was thousands of light years away. Yet he could see it. Blue oceans. White clouds. The familiar continents. Then the image changed. The planet became covered in darkness. Millions of lights appeared across its surface. Human cities. Human ships. Human weapons. And something else. Something standing behind humanity. Something enormous. Something that had been waiting for thousands of years. Marcus whispered. Were you? A voice answered from the darkness. We are what humanity becomes when it stops pretending war is over. Marcus raised his rifle. The voice continued. And now, the darkness moved closer. Your species has finally come home. Above Karen, every human warship suddenly received the same transmission, not from command, Not from Earth. From the ancient network. A message appeared on every screen. Phase 5 complete. Then another line appeared. Phase 6 release. Commander Elena Cross stared at the screen. For the first time in her career, she looked afraid, because she finally understood what the ancient humans had been waiting for. They hadn't been waiting for the Veer. They hadn't been waiting for the monster. They had been waiting for humanity. For 3 seconds, the galaxy went silent. No weapons, no engines, no communications, nothing. Then Earth appeared on every human screen. Not the Earth they knew, not the Earth they remembered. It was surrounded by thousands of black structures, ancient structures, structures that had been sleeping beneath the surface of the galaxy for longer than humanity had existed. Commander Elena Cross stared at the image. Everyone stay calm. Nobody moved. One officer whispered, "Commander." Cross looked at him. "What?" "The structures are responding to us." "How?" "They're recognizing our ships." Cross stared at the tactical display. One by one, ancient weapons began activating, not targeting Earth, not targeting humanity, targeting the Veer. Everywhere, across dozens of star systems, Veer fleets suddenly lost power. Their weapons shut down. Their navigation systems failed. Their communications became useless. Then the ancient network sent one final message. You ran from humanity. A second line appeared. Now humanity has come for you. The Veer commanders finally understood. The war had never been between the Veer and the Alliance. The Veer had been fighting a war against something far older, something they could never defeat. Humanity. But the humans themselves didn't know what they had become. On Karen, Marcus stood alone inside the ancient chamber. The sphere was gone. The ancient soldiers were gone. Only the creature remained. But it no longer looked like a monster. Its body had changed. Its black armor had split apart. Beneath it was something almost human. Almost. Marcus raised his weapon. Is this what you wanted? The creature shook its head. No. Then what do you want? The creature looked toward the distant stars. Nothing. Marcus lowered his rifle slightly. Then why wake us? The creature smiled. I didn't. Marcus froze. Who did? The creature looked directly at him. You. Marcus stared. I don't understand. You came looking for a monster. The creature stepped closer. You found your ancestors. Another step, and by waking them, it looked toward the sky. You woke everything that was waiting for them. Marcus looked at his helmet display. Thousands of ancient signals were appearing. Then millions. He whispered. How many? The creature answered. Enough. Above Karen, the human fleet finally received a transmission from Earth. It was Elena Cross. Her voice was calm, but every soldier could hear something different in it now. Not fear, not anger, determination. Human forces. She paused. The Veer had begun retreating from every occupied world. Marcus listened. They are abandoning their colonies. Another pause. They are shutting down their fleets. Marcus looked at the creature. Cross continued. They're asking for peace. Maya's voice came through the channel. Are we accepting? Silence. Then Cross answered. No. Everyone on the bridge looked at her. An officer whispered. Commander. Cross stared at the Veer fleet disappearing from the tactical display. They spent centuries making the galaxy afraid. She looked toward Earth. Now they know how it feels. Across the galaxy, human special forces began their final operation. No massive invasion. No endless bombing. No armies marching across planets. The humans did what they had always done. They went into the dark. A 6-person team entered a Veer command station. Another team captured a weapons facility. Another shut down a planetary defense grid. Another walked into a Veer capital and simply waited, because the Veer were no longer fighting. They were hiding, and humanity knew exactly how to find things that were hiding. Within weeks, hundreds of Veer worlds surrendered, not because humanity destroyed them, because humanity had made one thing clear. There was nowhere left to run. The galaxy watched in disbelief. The species that had once laughed at 8 human soldiers now refused to say the word human without checking their surroundings. Children on alien worlds were warned, don't go into the dark, because the dark belonged to humanity. But there was one final problem. The ancient network was still active, and Marcus knew it. He returned to Earth months later. The war was over. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was quiet. Marcus walked into a secure facility beneath Earth's surface. Elena Cross was waiting for him. "You saw them," she said. Marcus nodded. "The ancient soldiers?" "Yes." "What were they?" Cross looked at him. "Our history." Marcus remained silent. Cross continued. "They weren't monsters." "No." "They weren't gods." "No." "They were humans." Marcus looked through the glass wall. Beyond it was a massive chamber. At its center stood the black sphere. It had returned, contained, sleeping, waiting. Marcus stared at it. "How long?" Cross understood the question. "How long until it wakes again?" Marcus nodded. Cross looked at the sphere. "I don't know." Marcus turned toward her, then destroy it. Cross smiled sadly. "We tried, and it wouldn't let us." Silence. Then Marcus heard something. A faint sound. A heartbeat. Boom. He looked back at the sphere. Boom. The lights flickered. Boom. Every screen in the facility activated. A message appeared. Not from the ancient network. Not from Avere. From somewhere beyond the galaxy. 3 words. "They are coming." Marcus stared. Elena Cross walked toward the glass. "Who?" The screen changed. A star map appeared. Thousands of systems. Then millions. And at the edge of the map, something moved. An enormous wave of darkness. Cross whispered, "What is that?" Marcus looked at the approaching darkness. Then he smiled. Not because he wasn't afraid. Because for the first time, he knew exactly what humanity had been preparing for. He turned toward the soldiers waiting outside. "Wait, the special forces." Cross looked at him. "All of them." Marcus nodded. "All of them." The alarms began. Across Earth, secret military facilities opened. Old ships rose from underground. Weapons that had never been used came online. Millions of soldiers received the same message. "Stand by." Then another. "Humanity has an enemy." And finally, the message that changed the galaxy forever. "Unleash hell." Far beyond the stars, the approaching darkness stopped. For the first time, it hesitated, because it had heard something. A sound traveling through the void. Human warships. Thousands of them. Then millions. And at their front, a single black vessel. No markings. No identification. Only one symbol. The same symbol the aliens had feared for centuries. The human symbol. The ship opened a channel. One voice entered the darkness. "Marcus Vale. I'm Captain Marcus Vale." A pause. "You're entering human space." Another pause. "And I don't care what you are." The black fleet accelerated. Marcus smiled. "Because now..." The stars behind him filled with human ships. "You know who we are." The end.